Good morning. Ira Epstein with your morning flash update, and this update is for the morning of Monday, the 5th of June, 2023, 8:15 a.m. Central Time. Interesting weekend. It was the weekend that we saw the debt ceiling bill passed. Now what you're going to deal with in a big way is the Treasury has to refill its coffers. So that means you're going to see interest rates under pressure. Under pressure meaning higher. Why? If they have to issue over $1 trillion worth of, and that's the amount we're talking, of instruments in the next 6 months to refill the coffers, what do you think you do? Well, you put it out on the market, and one of the areas that comes under pressure are bonds and notes. It hurts the banks if investors pull deposits out of those banks to buy any of those instruments. Now, when a money market fund does that, they buy it out of a pot of cash. It's different. This works completely different than that when it comes from either what we call non-banks. So you've got to be careful where that money's going to come from. In the stock market, we had a melt up on Friday, as you all know. Now the question is, did it overdo it? And that's what the market's trying to figure out. I'm of the opinion the dollar is up because of what I mentioned on that Fed, that it has to go and fund, and that's putting pressure on all the other currencies. Ms. Lagarde just came out, and she was saying inflation is not beaten in the European Union, and she doesn't see the banks backing off from doing anything there at this point, probably saying in a veiled manner, more interest rate hikes coming. Grain markets over the weekend, well, it's a mixed picture. We're getting drier, and we don't need that in some areas, but there's rain forecast around the 10th to the 13th. As you take a look, we'll see what happens through that. The other big piece of news that you had was Saudi Arabia. As it turns out in the OPEC meeting, they got nowhere. None of the other members in Africa were willing to give up quotas. The UAE wants to get the right to produce another 200,000 barrels a day, and that'll come at the beginning of the year. So what the Saudis did is they just went unilaterally, and they said they're going to cut production by 1 million barrels a day. Russia's, of course, applauding that. Russia, by the way, offered to do nothing, because that will help whatever the discount is that Russia gets off of Brent prices. That will help the market take a look at it in a different way and say, if they're cutting, maybe that props it up and we get a little more. Even though we're discounting, we get more than we would have had without their cuts in production. Also, keep your eye on pricing in the Brent. Remember, it now takes in a certain aspect of WTI pricing and replaces part of the Scottish pricing. Now, S&P Global is going to release their final May service sector PMI. The word is final one, and that's at 8:45. The ISM will release their service sector indices for May at 9 o'clock. Factory orders are coming out today, and they come out at 9. The Eurozone economic data, as you can see, the services PMI fell a little bit until you go ex-energy. And at that point, it's still up 5.1% on the year. That's not acceptable to the European Central Bank, so you play that game accordingly. Now, one of the features that we get in these charts often are something that you see and you probably don't know how to work with. You see it all the time. And it's called an outside day up or an outside day down. I have a course on this. It's on our website under education. I invite you to go look at it. And it teaches you the continuation pattern or the break. The word is break. On a trend that had been down, where it's trying to lift itself out of that, or up, breaking that pattern. Or when you get with the downtrend, an outside day, a continuation of that pattern. It's all done via video. It gives you ideas with our charting software as to where they're at, what the probabilities are, and that's basically what something like this is all about. You go to our website under the word education. You go to you can call my staff if you have questions, or you can move your cursor at any point right up here. And when you move your cursor there, you'll see an icon. It will take you right to that section. Take a look at it. I think you see this pattern all the time. You probably don't know how to work with it. I'm Ira Epstein. I'll see you at the end of the day with our market wrap-up. Trade well.